folks. Coach Kevin Weiss here with the Abel Body Experts. Here once again with Scott Abel, Coach Scott Abel, and we're going to do another blade sequence. You can look through the library to find, I think, the forward one, and this one is going to be overhead. So Scott, do you want to just talk a little bit about the difference between the blades?
Think of the blades a lot like you would think about dumbbells. They come in different sizes, so the size of the blade in terms of thickness and length will have a bearing on how much force you can put into it. So for me, the little ones are a little too easy unless I'm doing two-handed stuff. So I go out and get the Mac Daddy, which I don't expect everyone, don't try to learn on this. Definitely try to learn on one of the smaller ones, because the amount of force generated into these things, keeping them vibrating, is a lot more difficult than it looks.
There's a pretty big learning curve to them. A lot more than, like, you're making it look pretty easy. When you see Scott doing it, you have to appreciate how much force he's applying to that implement to get it whipping like that, and to get it whipping in motion like the way it should be, instead of, because it's a lot harder than it looks. So when you first start trying to do this, don't get frustrated because you can't keep it moving. It just takes some practice. Okay, so this one is the overhead, and Scott had done these ones before where he did the front, and now he's got it overhead. The actual implement being further away, he's actually really working his lower abs, he's working his trunk a whole lot more, whereas when he was at the front, he was working his posterior chain and his glutes a lot more. And look at the speed and power that he's applying to that to keep the blade whipping like that. Good job. Now from the back, once again you can see, whereas before, when he was to the front, it was really down through his posterior chain. Now he's got it up in his shoulders, down through his middle back. His lower abs are working really hard, but you can still see the core involvement and the posterior chain, the glute involvement, everything. Once again, these are done for time, not for reps. The more force you're applying to that, obviously the less time you're going to be able to do it. And Scott really pounds it hard, so it takes him, typically 30 seconds to a minute before you got to... Depending, I've seen you, I'll let him rest here for a minute, but I've seen you do some arm ones where you go 2 and even 3 minutes. But the bigger ones where you're working your core, your posterior chain and stuff, it's probably pretty hard to get more than about a minute in each position.
You're generating. In the other circuits, because we're moving through multiple planes, when these are single focus like this, these last few movements, then yeah, you're not going to last long.
Especially with this blade.
Unless you're generating less force. I mean, I can always come in here and do this for a couple minutes.
That's not the point. The point is to generate as much force as you can.
Right.
Okay, so that's the overhead version of the hip, core, shoulder stabilization with the body blade.